Hello, my name is Kainton the Genius, and today we are going to be considering day 5 of the ASP.NET C# programming in 24 days. Today's class will be type conversion, implicit and explicit conversion, and we're also going to be looking at Windows Forms. This class is going to be very interesting. We've covered 4 modules, which actually was focused on console applications that interact with user from the keyboard. Remember, just click on subscribe so that you can join this class and get all the benefits. For instance, you can get answers to your questions, you can get get assisted personally on your projects, and you can get needed support. Alright, so let's get started with introduction to Windows Forms. As usual, we are going to open the application we've been working with since the module 3. So we are using Visual Studio Ultimate 2013. Other editions will also work. Alright, so today we are going to be working on the Windows application. Remember, there are 3 applications in this solution: the Windows application, the web app, and also the console app. Today's class will be working with the Windows app. Alright, so our application opens up, and now we are going to set the startup project to be the Windows app. Remember, you can always change the startup project. That means that when you click on run, which project among these 3 projects will run. So I'm going to choose the Windows app, right click on it, and then choose set as startup project. Alright, so at this point, please let me brighten my screen. At this point, the Windows app is open, so let's go ahead to look at Windows Forms. So what I'm going to do is to add 2 forms, Form 1 and Form 2, to our Windows app project. So just right click and go ahead to click on Add and click on Windows Form. So let's call it Form 1. The first one is Form 1. You can always give it any name you feel like. Okay, it tells us Form 1 already exists. Okay, let's go ahead to replace it. Yes. So, alright, so, okay, we also have a form called Home. We have Form 1, so I'm going to add Form 2. Add Windows form. I'm going to call it Form 2. Okay, and it's added now. So I have 2 forms added now. Let's now go to the next part: common Windows form controls and properties. Of course, we discussed about the button control. Okay, and now I'm going to add another button there, 2 buttons on it, so that I'll be able to open Form 1 or Form 2 from here. So button control, you have the properties. Under the properties palette. So let me call this exits. Let me call it, okay, we are in the home form, so I need to open Form 1 from here. Okay, Form 1, and here I want to open Form 2. I'll also add another button so that I'll be able to exit this project. I'll be able to, yes, exit. So let me call it exit. Alright. So I'm going to copy all of this to the 2 other forms I've created. So let me copy it. Although you can create new ones, but for me, I think it's faster for me to copy it. So I'll place in Form 1. This time from Form 1, I would like to open the home and also the Form 2. So it means that I have home, and I would also like to open, sorry, this should be Form 1. So the name or the text actually should be Form 1. So locate text, find text, and change it to form 1. Okay, so you see this is home, so let's call it or let's just go ahead to call it, okay, form 1. Okay, this is form 1. Alright, so from form 1 I should be able to open form 2 and also home. So let me call this home. Remember there are three forms: home, form 1 and form 2. So let's go ahead to form 2. So double click to open form 2 and then go ahead to paste it. Alright, so here I'm going to call it, this is form 2. So I should be able to open form 1 and home. So in the test here I want to open home. Alright, so now if I run this program, the home form is going to open. But the question is, how do I view other forms from the home? How do I also close this form from this one? So that is the first thing we are going to do. I'm going to code to open form 1 and form 2. Before that, I'm going to code for the exit button. So to code for the exit button, what you do is to double click on it. When you double click on it, you simply add one line of code that says application.exit. That is all you need to do in the exit button. So at this point, if I run it, the exit button should be able to close the project. So exit. Okay, I think the exit button we coded was for the home. So alright, so just add application.exit. Okay, so if we run it now, let's see if the exit button actually closes it. Exit. You see, it closes. So the exit button works. Alright, how then do we open form 1 and form 2 from the home form? So what you do is to right click on the button. So the first thing you do is to create a new form that represents the form you want to open. So how do you do that? You say form 1, okay, let's call it F1 equal to new form 1. It's as simple as that. That is the first line. Form 1 is equal to new form 1. F1 dot show Alright, so you say F1 dot show. F1 is new form 1, the new form 1 dot show. So if you want to hide the current form that is already open, you can just say dot hide. So you can just say this dot hide. So what it's going to do is going to close the existing form and open the second one. Let's try to see what happens. So at this point, if I click on form 1, it opens form 1, but in form 1 I can't go back home. Alright, so let me put the same code in the home form. So let me stop this thing. So let's click on the home. So let's open form 1. Form 1, okay, so let's put this code here. But in this one, what we want to open is home. Let's call it H1. Remember there are three lines. The first line, you create the form you want to open. So it means that here you say home is the name of the form I want to open is equal to new home. Is the name of the form you want to open. So this is the name of the name you gave it in the first line. Then this dot hide hides the current form. So let's run it to see how it works. So at this point from home, I open form 1 is open, go back home, form 1 is open. So I hope this is very clear to you. Let's move on to something else, linking between two forms. We've done it. So at this point, let's now work with conversions. So how does conversion work? Let's start with the home form. Alright, so now let's put a text box on the screen. Text box is a control that allows a user to enter data. So let's call it. So when you put a text box on the screen, you give it a name. So since I want users to enter data into this text box, I would like to call it txt input. Under name in the property, I will call it txt input. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a label that represents my output. So click on label and click inside the form. I would like to call it LBL output. Take note of how I give the names. I use a prefix with 3 letters that shows the name of the item. So I want to remove this label 1 from there. So what I do, go to text and then just go to delete. So label 1 is there. Alright, so at this point it's just blank, but it's there. So the name is LBL output. So let me add a button that I'll use to take the input and display it on the output. So let me call this btn show. btn is for button. So btn show, and the text, go down to look for the text. Sorry, the name is btn show. So the text should be show. Alright, I hope you are following. So what we are saying is when you drag and drop a control on the form, you give it a name and you also give it the text. The text is what shows there. In the case of txt inputs, there is no text. Alright, so let's now go to conversion. We want to be able to take what the user enters in the screen and display it. So the first thing we are going to do is to allow the user to enter a number and then we display it. So we double click on this show and write the program for that. So let's say, of course, you know that you can declare integers or decimals or other variables. So assuming number 1, I declare an integer called number 1 is equal to txt input dot text. So what it means is that take what is inside the txt input box and assign it to number 1. But what is normally in the text box, they are strings. So it means that it's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is to convert it to a string. So what I might do, convert it to integer. So I can just say convert.to int. You can use to int 32, and then txt input.text will simply be inside. Okay, so the text, okay, that is fine. So what is happening here is we take what is in the text box, convert it to string and put it there. So let's display it on the output. So we can just say txt, sorry, the output is lbl output dot text equal to number 1. So at this point we have lbl output.text is equal to number 1, but this number 1 is an integer. It can't be assigned to an output like that, so I need to convert it to string. So what I'm going to do is to convert it to string. So simply at the end of it say to string. You can see to string there, and that is just fine. By using to string adds the opening and closing bracket. So at this point, if I run the program, I enter data 34 and click on show, it displays 34 out there. Alright, having done that, let's try to work on, let's say, decimal numbers this time. So the same thing works. You can say convert.to decimal. You see, convert.to decimal. Okay, cannot convert to decimal. Okay, let's just say convert.to double. Okay. Okay, so you also need to declare this as double. So what it means is that I can always easily enter a decimal number and it displays. So if I enter 34.6, it shows 34. Okay, I think there is a mistake. 0.6. Yeah, it displays. So also you can use another function that is called Int.parse. So instead of saying convert to double, you can say Int.parse. Let's try to use it. So you can say Int.parse. So at this point, it will also work perfectly. Int.parse or convert.to.int will also give you the same result. So if I enter 45, it shows 45. Alright, so that is about using forms, and that is how to convert. Now, assuming I want to round off decimal numbers, let's say I have a number that is let's comment this so that we can start something different. Double number 2 equals 87 points. How do we round off this number to decimal? Alright, what we can do is to use the round function. Or we can use to decimal. Okay, so we can say double number 3 is equal to convert to decimal, as you can see there. So I can just say, you can always, okay, so convert.to decimal, you can just put it number 2, so it converts it to a decimal number. No, actually we want to round it off, so let's try to use a round function. Max.round. Good. So we put in the number that is a decimal number, number 2. I want to round it up to 2 decimal places. Alright, so you use max.round. So now if I display on the output, lbl output.txt equal to number 3, it's not going to work. Remember, we can just convert it to string by adding dot to string, and it converts to string. So at this point, if I run it, while this number is 87 points, a whole lot of things, it will be rounded off to 2 decimal places. So we have 87.09. Remember, the number is 87.0893, but now it's rounded up to 87.09. So that is how to round. You use max.round, put in the number and put in the number of decimal places. This is how we come to the end of this class. If you have any question, you can leave it there in the description box. Remember to subscribe to join the class. Try all that conversions: convert.to double, convert.to int, .to string, .to decimal, and so on. I'd like to thank you for viewing. Let's see you in the next class, and that should be the 5.